What's up, everybody? Welcome to Go Comedy. It's now time to Let's Just Say. Give it up for your host, Alex Ketchum! Had to go flashback on that song. Back to memories. Welcome, everybody, to Ferndale's longest running #1 in your hearts, #1 in the Billboard storytelling show, Let's Just Say. By Go Comedy Improv Theater. Now, Let's Just Say is a little bit different than the other Go Comedy content you might see. They have great, funny shows on every Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. But on Thursdays, once a month, we do this show, and it's not necessarily a comedy show. I know, I love it, right? This is a storytelling show. Everybody's going to get up here. Some brave people are going to share true life stories with you, kind of like a moth. But this is not a competition. Everybody has about 5 to 7 minutes. And they're going to get up here and share a story that's loosely tied to this month's theme, which is Wanderlust. All right? Any wanderers out there? Y'all been doing some traveling at all this summer?
Woo!
Yeah? Good. We're going to hear some stories that may not be this summer, but they'll be at some point. And they're all real. So we like to provide a safe and welcoming environment for these storytellers, so, give them some support when they get up here. But to break the ice, as is tradition, the host, which is me, we'll share a short little intro story. So here we go. I lived in Japan for 5.5 years or so, and during that time people came and left the city I was living in, and I had a friend who moved from where I was at to Osaka. You might have heard of it, pretty big place. But he wasn't, at first he wasn't doing too hot, so a bunch of us got together to go up there and visit him to see how he was doing. And by that point he'd been doing all right. There was a big music festival and he'd actually made friends, so we thought he was going to be all lonely. But when we get there, he's got all these house parties planned and shit. And so that was first of all off-putting. But the first place we went was his place, and we met 3 of these co-workers. And we had to go to a house across town to meet the rest of the crew. And the car only fit everybody but 2 people. And one of the guys up there is like, man, I got an extra bike, you can ride with me. So I was like, I'll take the extra. I volunteered, I took the other bike. I've been riding a bike for a few years now. I'm fine, I'm used to it now. That's how I do my shit. But this dude rode his bike, man, as fast as you could possibly imagine. It was on the street. It was like a real life game of Paperboy. My life was in the balance, and I just kept saying a mantra in my head that he must do this all the time. Just stay close to him. If he doesn't get hit by a car, you won't get hit by a car. My folly was that he was in better shape than I was, and about 5 minutes into it, I started lagging behind and just really praying to God I would actually make it to this house party. After the house party, we went to a club where we met some girl named Lion, who took us to, we danced our asses off, and then went to a late night club, but we didn't seem too welcome there. It was like a secret, like an Osaka secret. We were outsiders. And some weird movie, a weird Japanese movie was on the TV. It was fucking like robots and shit were killing people. And it was just an awkward experience till the guys from the DJs from the club come in, and one guy just goes, "Arekusa," which is how you say Alex in Japanese. And I was like, "Yeah." He's like, "Matsuyama no Arekusa." I was like, "Yeah, I'm the Alex in Matsuyama." And he was like, basically, he had been a DJ when I was the host of one of these DJ parties at a club, and apparently we had gotten drunk together or something. So we were brothers now, and at that moment, dude, the bartender started giving out free drinks, and this is 4 a.m. so we didn't need it anymore. But we left that basement bar and went outside, and the sun was well up. Yeah, we could have lost days down there. But yeah, so that's Osaka if you ever take a visit. And that's all I got for you right now. Thank you. Let me introduce our first storyteller. His name is Ted Olds. Now Ted has won the Moth 20 times, and he has told stories all around the country. by day, he's a patent attorney, but by night, right now, he's going to be an amazing storyteller. So please give it up for Ted Old.
Thank you, Art. So, my wife Judy and I step out of the train station into Amsterdam, to a crowded sidewalk in Amsterdam, Holland. It's a beautiful sunny day, and everyone is smiling and happy. And somehow, everyone's pretty. And there's a chubby guy with rosy cheeks playing Oompa songs on an accordion. And I'm thinking, I stepped into a cartoon. Like, no way anything bad could happen here. Now, Judy, it's 1985, Judy and I were 25, we're on our honeymoon, it's our first trip overseas. We had been in London, and I'm still into punk, but back, I was, into punk pretty heavy back then, and so being in London back then, it was cool. We saw a lot of really neat stuff, and I started wanting to get like a punk edge to my look, but to copy a haircut that someone else invented 10 years ago seemed lame. So what I did was I shaved my cheeks, I grew my beard underneath my chin. This makes me look European, which was important for some reason. We got a hotel room off the main square. It's called the Dam Square, and we spent the day walking around. Now, there was one sketchy thing. Sometimes, like 20 feet away, we're walking around, 20 feet away, someone would lock eyes with me. When I got up close, they'd step right in my face. Want to buy some hash? In America, we respect personal space, right? So it was kind of off-putting. But if you say no thanks and just step by them, they were harmless. And honestly, it happens so often, pretty soon I barely even noticed it. But, okay, Judy and I, we were both past any cannabis use days. And so, but even if we were looking to buy some, it was basically legal in Amsterdam. Like, bars sold hash. Like, why you would buy it off the street made no sense. We spent the most of that afternoon on a pedestrian alley called the Kelverstraat. And it connected the Dam Square to a busy highway, about 400 yards away. And it was full of bars and restaurants and boutiques and pretty, smiling, happy cartoon land people. At least it was that afternoon. Now, I was in a boutique and I'm looking at the sweater and I love it, but I'm on the fence because number one, it's expensive. And number two, I know I get a vacation bounce with wardrobe, meaning like I'll be somewhere and I'll see something that people there wear and I think, I'm gonna wear that when I go home. And I'll buy this shirt and then I get home and I don't wear them, and this sweater was edgy for me, I was really, but then this clerk walks up and he goes, whoa, 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 whoa. I can't even fake Dutch. I can't fake Dutch. It's like a more guttural German. But, so I said to him, I don't speak Dutch. He said, I thought you were Dutch. It's not just me that thinks I look European. Like, I'm fooling Europeans, okay? That night, Judy and I went to a place called the Milky Way. It had been a milk factory, and now it's an entertainment center. And there's a movie theater, and there's a bar where bands play, and there's dive bars, and coffee houses, and hash bars. And Judy and I drank some beers, and at 3 a.m., we're walking home on a busy highway, and suddenly I realized we're at the other end of the Kelverstraat. And I look down, and I can see the square. And I'm thinking, if we cut down this, we're going to save a quarter mile in our walk. Okay. Now I'm just not looking European. I'm actually so street smart, I'm finding shortcuts in Amsterdam. And so we turn up it, and right away I notice the bars and restaurants and boutiques that were open and full of people that afternoon, they're all now closed, and there's metal grating in front of every one of their windows. And I know what that means in America, but somehow it didn't click. Back there. And we're like 100 feet from the square. And we walked by 3 guys off to the side in the shadows, and 2 of them stopped in my face. You want to buy some hash? Oh, no thanks. The third guy grabs my arms behind me. One of them starts trying to go through my pockets. Judy starts yelling for help, and I'm thinking, that's a good idea because we're almost at the square. There's got to be police there. So I start yelling, The third guy starts punching me in the mouth repeatedly. But I keep yelling. And real quickly, someone is yelling from the square and running at us, and the three guys take off the other way. They didn't get anything out of us. And honestly, I think they were as afraid of us as we were of them, because the guy punched me in the mouth a dozen times, and my lip wasn't even bleeding. I don't think they were muggers. I think they were just like amateurs, and they just the sight of two drunk Americans in that alley at 3 a.m. was so ridiculous that they felt they had to, like the honor of their city or something. When we got back, a couple of things changed after that. When we got back to the hotel, first thing I did was shave the beard. It was stupid. It looked stupid. The other thing we did is the next few days, walking around Amsterdam, whenever anyone stepped up at us, we would go, "No!" And we didn't talk about it. It was just like instinctive. Next, we went to Paris, and we were in this touristy area. And a group of kids, like maybe a dozen, 13, 14-year-old, they came running up at us. And one of them in front has a magazine, and he's pointing at it and jabbering quickly in a language I don't understand. And when they get close, we all go, "No!" And they scatter. And I felt like shit, because we had let these assholes in Amsterdam cause us to be mean to kids in Paris. And they probably just wanted to sell us a magazine. Felt bad. On the plane ride home, I read the tour guide, you know, what I should have read on the way there. And it said, in Paris, if you're not 15, you can't go to jail no matter what you do. And there are parents who train their kids to be pickpockets. They retire on their 15th birthday. And they travel in a pack, and one of them has a magazine or newspaper and points at it, and jabbers in the language they're making up. And the tourist stops, you're swarmed, and your pockets are empty within seconds. You're among the best pickpockets in the world. So because I was stupid enough to get us robbed by amateurs, or mugged by amateurs in Amsterdam, we got to be smart enough to avoid getting robbed by professionals in Paris.
I've never been mugged, but I hope I get somebody weak as hell like that. Could have been an amateur pro wrestler, just seeing if those punches look good. You know? All right, our next storyteller is making their return to the Let's Just Say stage. Finn was born in Ann Arbor and lived in Colorado for 21 years, and has recently made their way back to Michigan. They are a stand-up comedian and perform all over the greater Detroit area. If you want to catch one of their stand-up performances, they're actually going to be doing some stand-up after this show, right here on this stage for the Admin and Star show at 9:30, so stick around. I can say firsthand that I've seen them do some stand-up. They are very, very funny. So please, welcome Finn St. John to the stage.
First task. Let's see. Can we do it? We did it? Maybe? Possibly? I don't know. Okay. This has definitely gotten more terrifying every time I do this, not less. I think something's broken. I think we broke it. Maybe I'll break the microphone and I can not do this. Okay. So Wanderlust, I always look up the word to get a definition and try to like get inspiration. This one, it only gave me a strong desire to travel. And that's it. Like really? No secondary definitions, no like nothing. So anyway, it's fine. I often have heard that like traveling is more about the journey than the destination. And that's definitely been true for me. Often because I really have never had any idea where I'm actually going at any point in time. And if I ever do get there, I don't know why I set out for that destination in the first place. I really don't. The only time I ever felt any kind of like particularly strong sense of direction was when I was 10 years old. My home life had kind of devolved into chaos. It was never great. It was very abusive, very bad, not ideal, horrible, it doesn't really matter. On a particular night, I had learned my parents were getting divorced, which is great. My dad had to go. That was a win, but quite truly. And but I did learn also that my mom was going to be giving us up for adoption, and that threw me a bit. That was unexpected. I know. Don't worry, that didn't happen. It was whole thing, so don't worry. But at the moment, I didn't know that was going to happen, and so I was panicking. And I decided, okay, what's the plan? I am going to move far, far away to college, get a degree, I can support myself, and then everything will be perfect. I really believe that. And then when I was 14, we did a unit on genetics, which I thought was lit. I was like, this is amazing, I'm going to study genetics, and so I set out and I did that. I moved to Colorado, got a degree in molecular biology, and never felt emptier, honestly. Did not work out. I had everything I ever wanted and worked so hard for, and nope, nothing was solved. So that was amazing, and I was like, oh great. So for the next 20 years, I found myself kind of wandering directionless through life after that. I really used up all the gas I had in the tank and then some to get to that point, and then I had nothing left. And I always like the expression, not all who wander are lost, but I was definitely lost, completely lost. I had no idea who I was, where I was going, what I was doing. And I realized also that I wasn't really wandering. I was more running at top speed, trying to get as far away from myself as I possibly could, which is quite difficult, actually, to get away from yourself. That did not stop me from trying. I tried relationships and athletics, academics, drugs, anything I could really think of to try and get away from myself. But it didn't work out that way. And it turned out, I've actually put together, with a lot of help, that the childhood environment I'd grown up in created a very negative internal space in myself. I had learned to hate myself more than anything else in the entire universe, which is a very painful space to live in, as it turns out. And I really was trying to escape. And let's see what we got. So I was searching for a person, a place, or a thing that might help me feel okay. But I never ever found it. And moving back to Michigan 4 years ago, the initial place where everything where shit had gone down, are we allowed to swear? Everything I was running from, or everything had started, all the memories I'd been harboring that I was trying to escape from, it forced a reckoning in some ways. It forced me to face everything I'd been running from, and to face the toxic core beliefs I had about myself, to learn to challenge them head on, and to face all of the things that had taught me to hate myself so deeply. And it taught me that I couldn't trust myself, which I'm not doing entirely now because I'm relying on my notes. That's fine, we're moving on. So, it prevented me from learning to love the person that I am. And for the record, the jury is still out on that one. But I eventually put together, with a lot of help, that what I was really lacking was a strong sense of self. I never learned that. I learned to sacrifice myself as a child in order to gain, positive attention, praise, or love. I had to sacrifice who I was or achieve things. Those were the only two ways I could get any kind of positive attention or support. And I really didn't even want to learn who I was. I didn't want that. I felt broken and angry. And about 10 months ago, quite unexpectedly, I started to slowly gain a sense of self by doing something that I find to be utterly terrifying, which is stand-up comedy. And then 7 months ago, I did my first storytelling. And I've been starting to find my voice doing these things, which is horrifying. It was not really the plan. It wasn't even my idea to do stand-up comedy, but here we are. And, we're doing it, we're thriving. And I've learned that instead of trying to run from myself, I need to stop and face who I am head on, even though it scares the absolute shit out of me. And doing the comedy and the storytelling is helping to slowly start to see myself differently. And I do still feel like I'm wandering. I absolutely do. I don't really know what I'm doing or what direction I'm going in. But at least now I have started to find some sort of internal foundation that I can build on, which I've never had before. And I don't know, it's scary to me doing this. I'm staring into the bright lights because it makes me feel better about it. But, you know, I don't really know where we're going from here. I don't know what I'm doing. I do still feel like I'm lost and I'm wandering, but I have learned, I have some kind of seed planted about like who I am, and maybe that is not such a horrible person that's worth hating with every ounce of my being. So, so thank you for being here, thank you for listening, and giving me the opportunity to share a bit of myself with you tonight.
Fellow comedian, your stand-up's funny as hell. So I'm glad you found that seat. And she's going to be doing, they're going to be doing a performance at 9:30 to open up for the Adam and Star show. So please stick around if you guys want to see some pretty funny stuff. Now, our next storyteller goes by the name of Elena Gonzalez. She is also a local stand-up comedian. However, she also recreates retro game shows from the 70s and performs them live for fun and prizes. And I am like just infatuated with this idea. Next up is the dating game on October 13th at One Night Stands in Waterford. I don't go to Waterford often, but that's damn sure a reason too. You don't have to be single to come, enjoy, have fun, and win a prize. This is their first time telling a story, let's just say. So please give it up for Elena Gonzalez.
Hi, friends. Yes, I am a dorky stand-up, and so this is a habit. Sorry, all of the other storytellers. I do want to take 2 seconds to publicly say that I absolutely wholeheartedly love the person that Finn is and appreciate you. And we'll talk after the show, but I need to say that into the microphone. All right, hi. Let me take you back to a simpler time. The year was 1996. Our computers came in cardboard boxes with cow print on them. We got CD-ROMs with minutes so we could call the internet. And we hope that nobody tried to call us at the same time. In the 90s, they called that a cock block. And the way that you would introduce yourself to a room full of strangers was the super sexy acronym ASL. All right, we're all on the same page. This story begins with two 17-year-old females, I was one of them, so I can get the facts straight, who decided that we were going to work together to create the world's most perfect slutty teen, so we could talk to men on the internet. I'm a classy broad, it's nice to meet all of you. The first thing that you have to do is you have to come up with a screen name, and we decided our audience would probably be full of a lot of comic book and cartoon nerds, and frankly, Shitara from the Thundercats was really hot, so Shitara it was. Again, we said we wanted to be slutty. Good news, in 1996, all you had to do was slap a 69 on the end of that screen name and voila. Shitara 69 was born. We also realized that in that ASL, putting 17 made us the wrong side of barely legal, so we decided to lie on the internet. I know, we said we were 19. We got chit-chatting away, and it was not long before we met 22M Northville. His name was Bryce. He was a lacrosse player, but the coolest thing about him is he had his own apartment. A thing that I forgot to mention when I was setting the time of 1996, Dateline did not exist yet. Right, so, we are chatting it up with Bryce, and he invites us over to his place. Of course we say yes, and then it dawns on us that we've lied. We figured he probably wasn't gonna check our ID, so we were okay on the 17-19 thing, but we are two people, not one. That's a bit harder to tell. A fun fact, if you tell a horny man on the internet that he is talking to not one, but two teenage girls, he's still gonna give you the address to his apartments. Yeah, we were shocked too. So we typed his address into Ye Olde MapQuest, printing off all 47 pages to go 15 minutes, and hopped in the car. Now, this is where we're going to spend the crux of the story because it's Wanderlust and we're traveling. Have you guys experienced that moment in time where the universe does everything possible to tell you that you're making the wrong decision? Yeah. That was this night. So, we start driving and get on the freeway and immediately get a flat tire. I don't know if this ensemble gives it away, not mechanically inclined. We pull over on the side of the road, I pop the trunk, my tire is bolted in there. I am just ass up in the trunk with the thing, not a crowbar, cross, you know what I'm talking about, with this thing. Legitimately forgot, I know it's funny, but I legitimately can't remember the name of it. So, we're on the side of the freeway, ass up. I can't get the tire off. My friend comes around. She's also trying. Two 17-year-old asses in an open trunk in the middle of the night on the side of the freeway. Totally cool. A truck driver pulls up behind us. That's when the heart starts beating. That's when the flop sweats start coming. Because I don't want to get raped and murdered on the side of the road. I want to get raped and murdered at Bryce's house like God intended. Thankfully, the truck driver was very sweet, gets our tire changed, and sends us on our merry way. Now, we get to Bryce's door, knock, you guys know how doors work, we knock, and while we're waiting for him to answer, my friend and I start talking. Like, what does he look like? Is he gonna have those stupid blonde tips like they did with the shower cap? Is he gonna have puka shells, Hawaiian shirt? What are we looking at? None of those were true. Neither was the fact that he was 22. 39-year-old Craig said hello to us at that door. Yeah. White t-shirt with the chili stain standing right out, and one of those like big and tall guys that picked one and not the other. So he's got that like vent that for some reason makes his stomach extra itchy, like every single time. If I was a smarter person, I would have said, "Thank you, sir, I'm going to leave." I am not that smart. And he started talking about strawberry daiquiris. If there was one thing to get into the heart or the pants of 17-year-old Elena, sugar and booze worked just great. I ran past this man to get into his creepy apartment. When I say creepy apartment, I fucking mean it. All white carpets, all white walls, basically anything to set the blood splatter off is what we were looking at here. I sit down, my friend sits down next to me, and Craig goes into the kitchen to start making this drink. My friend gets a bright idea to watch him, and that's when she sees him pull two pre-made drinks out of the fridge. I'm still fucking delusional, and I'm like, maybe he's just really concerned with the exact temperature. He takes pride in his work. My friend looks at me and says, "No, bitch, it takes 4 hours for horse tranquilizers to dissolve. Let's go." Thankfully, we had 19 years on this man. I'm bad at math. We had 21 years on this man. So we decided to run. he also decided to run. We're running out of his apartment downstairs. It turns into a weird Scooby-Doo thing. He comes out of another apartment. It was, I don't know. That's my favorite part of the story, because I know this is supposed to be true. All of it has been true up until that point. It didn't actually, but I love that visual. It makes it. The truth is that we are running our asses off. And again, it's 1996. We don't have a key fob to unlock. I'm trying to figure out how to get in there. And I know that once I do, I'm gonna have to turn the thing and then open the door, and it's gonna have to start up my fucking Buick. And we're gonna die anyway. Thankfully, an elderly woman pulls up in a minivan at the exact same time and gets out and shouts out, "Hi, Craig!" That was enough to stop him in his tracks, say hello to her. I don't know, I honestly don't remember what her name was, and let us be on our way. As with all genius 17-year-olds, we just screamed in each other's faces for the next 2 minutes about how we almost died, and then asked if we wanted to go to Denny's. All right, I love you all.
Thanks for sharing, Elena. That's golly, it made me reflect on my life. I did a lot of stupid shit. Probably should be dead. Anywho, still here. Our next storyteller, Libby Caillou. Libby is a Ferndale resident and volunteer for the Downtown Ferndale Vision Committee. And as a Ferndale resident, thank you very much for your hard work. She is also an engineer at General Motors, which means she is smarter than me. And you may recognize her as the person who waves at your dog on the sidewalk. This is her second time telling the story, let's just say, so please welcome back, Laviva.
So hopefully next time I do this, this won't be a thing, but I kind of did it, so. Okay, so I'm going to get started. So I grew up never getting the perfect attendance in school. It wasn't because I was sick all the time, or my parents didn't think school was important. It was really important. I couldn't get a 98 in math without getting yelled at. But every few months, my mom would start getting really angsty and would take me away on a trip. To her, going away on an adventure was more important than me missing school for a week or two. I would just always make up, it's fine, whatever. This habit was further enabled by my dad being an airline pilot and we getting unlimited flight tickets. Tickets didn't mean unlimited vacation, so there were times he couldn't go with us, so she would just take us and go wherever. We would take trains, buses, rickshaws to go wherever we want. There was a lot of exploring in the mountains of India, to tea gardens, the beaches in Bangladesh. I should mention I grew up in Bangladesh. When my dad couldn't make it, we would fly to different parts of the world. One of the most memorable trips was when we went to Egypt and went on a cruise down the River Nile. We also checked out the pyramids, which was really cool. I inherited my mom's need to be out of the house. My husband calls it the Caillou condition and describes it as cabin fever. Whenever I'm home for more than 20 minutes, I just need to go out. I think it's not quite that bad, but I do get angsty and need to go somewhere every weekend and a bigger trip every month or so. Ultimately, it is this condition that brought my parents together. It was your typical boy meets girl, boy falls in love with girl, but girl is definitely not interested kind of story. It was 1969 when my dad and his best friend Alon was hanging out outside of the math department of the university they were going to. A group of girls come outside after class and my dad sees my mom for the first time and points her out and nudges his best friend like, I will marry her. That was the first time they met, that was just weird. friend to be like, yo, go find out more about her. So my dad's best friend goes up to one of my mom's friends and be like, hey, what's up with her? And my mom's best friend's like, oh, she's a math nerd. She has no interest in boys. She spends all her free time solving math problems. My dad's best friend was completely unfazed. He was like, I'll be fine. I can do this. So he befriended my mom to get to know her more. They became fast friends, but my mom was nowhere near to consider a relationship with my dad. That didn't really matter to my dad. He went full stalker mode. He started with following her around all around campus. He had a motorcycle, a Vespa. So anytime he would see her, he would be revving the motorcycle. After months with not much success, he hatched another plan, a custom paper airplane. He was a student in industrial design, so he designed this paper airplane with his and my mom's name engraved with dots and a heart around it. He made 1,000 copies and distributed it all around the math department. If the motorcycle stalking left anyone in the college confused about his intentions, the airplanes did it. Everyone at the university knew what was happening. My mom was mortified and didn't come to class for a week. When she did come back, her professor was like, what is going on? You're a star student. Are you getting distracted? And she's like, no, I'm not. This is not working. So yeah, the paper planes didn't do it. So my dad figured, okay, the paper planes didn't do it. Maybe real planes will. So at the time, he was actually taking flying lessons on the side of going to college. So now he would take the plane that he would go on for training and just like hover over my mom's house. Yeah, it got real bad. So it wasn't too hard to ignore him at school with the motorcycle and the paper airplane, but now he was showing up at his house with a plane. My grandma was really not happy and was even more pissed when she found out my dad was her age. Back in those days, a girl couldn't really do a love marriage. That was a big no-no. And then the second big no-no was that the dad was your age. It's like, what are you doing? My mom was really pissed. She went to Alo, my dad's best friend, and is like, listen, I'm not interested. This guy's bugged me in college, now he's bugging me at home, like, make him go away. My uncle at this point was my mom's best friend too, so he was like, I'm gonna go full matchmaking mode, and he's like, are you against getting married ever, or are you just against getting married to this guy? He's head over heels in love with you, he's actively flunking his classes. He wants to become a pilot and just got selected to train in New Zealand, but doesn't want to go in case he loses out on a chance with you. My mom thought this true. For her, it was a joke till she heard that the stalker was actually serious and considering altering his career for her. Long story short, she changed her mind and gave him a chance. I still don't know the true reason she changed her mind. All she ever told me was she decided marrying a pilot would have its benefits. She decided she would travel the world. Her wanderlust opened her heart to the crazy guy who wouldn't leave her alone and ultimately led her to her family. She did travel the world, and what is more, she brought all of us along. My dad, my brother, my sister, me, and eventually her grandkids, showing us as much as the world as she could and infecting us with her wanderlust.
Thank you, Libby, but that was great. What also was great is this next intro. We'll put some stank on it if you don't mind. Well, ladies and gentlemen, our storyteller from India will guide us through an unforgettable journey of triumph and self-discovery across the American landscapes with a touch of humor. Brace yourselves to be entertained and inspired. And please, welcome to the stage, Yogi Singh!
Labiba, your story reminded me of the time in my 9th grade. I used to drive behind a rickshaw with my friend on a bicycle, stalking these girls from my school. But nothing happened. Yeah, Yeah. So back to my story. The year is 2021, December. I decided to take an all-America road trip covering these 48 contiguous states in a single solo trip.
Wow.
Took me 18 days to finish it. And 10,000 miles. I made a spreadsheet, like I spent $3,000 on gas. I did all of that. It's on my website. Yeah, 2 TMI for this. So this journey was kind of interesting for me because in those 18 days, I met myself. I was able to see who am I. Because I didn't take to anyone's call, I didn't talk to anyone those 18 days. It was me and me only in that car. And if you don't talk to anyone for 18 days, yeah, your third eye is open on day 3. That's what they say. So yeah, so today I want to share my day 4 journey, a small stint from a city called Boltzmann in Montana to this Yellowstone National Park Information Center. Say it 3 times in my accent. And return back to the same place. So that's my day 4 journey. It's 80 miles plus 80 miles back. And remember, this is December, Montana. I'm crazy. And maybe that's why I did that. So, the forward journey, I saw heaps of snow on both sides of the road. And it's amazing because I haven't seen that much snow in my life. Even though I have lived in Michigan for 2-3 years before that. But this was a new thing for me. Every single scenery was awe-inspiring. And I was enjoying it. I was in it. This is the place to be if you want to drive to any place from my car. And I was so happy looking at this. I reached the information center and sun set down. Now it's all dark. And I have to make the return journey. Because next day I have to be in a different state. Otherwise I won't be able to finish my campaign. So yeah, I decided to move, and now there is no light. And you know these mountain roads? Like kind of snakes? And if you can't see which turn is coming up, your ass is free falling. Like there's an anxiety building up in me at this point. I don't know like how to return back. And one more thing about the people who live in mountains. They know how to drive on those roads. So I'm driving, both my hands are on the steering wheel fixed, and my right leg is stuck, it's not pressing forward, my body is frozen. That's the anxiety I'm building in my body. And then I'm thinking, Yogi, what the fuck is going on? You know how to drive. And this is, yeah, it was a crazy moment. And within minutes I see like in my backseat window, or not window, the mirror, like there is a line of 20 cars behind me. And some of them are honking, and some of them they know this car is from Michigan. So they are like, okay, we'll get to move. You know what? On these roads, you'll find a parking spots where they clean the snow and then you can park there and then let these cars go. That's what I did once. Then I got back into my car. Next 10 minutes, same 20 cars behind my back. And see, all of this, the pressure is building up. My body is now not helping me. See, my foot, it's off the gas pedal now. It's not letting me press it. You should not drive, Yogi. And my phone, no signal. So I can't even call for a tow truck. I'm stuck. So this is what my mind is saying. Yogi, this is it. You have to drive, doesn't matter how fast. And it's just 80 miles. Let's calculate. 20 miles per hour. You can get out of this. Just keep moving forward. So that's what I did. Just keep moving forward. And there is one more thing I did. I said to myself, Yogi, when you reach your destination, I'll treat you with a slice of pizza. Because in that heat of moment, I didn't realize that I haven't food for the whole day. I haven't eaten anything. I just had one coffee. So that's what my learning or lesson was from that day 4. That anxiety, it's a real thing. Just as hungry. And whenever that happens to me anytime, I just go back and say, Yogi, have you eaten today? Thank you very much.
Thank you, man. That's not disappointed at all. That was great. I also get driving anxiety. When I miss a left turn opportunity and there's cars behind me, I feel like they all hate me. I panic. And they make a bad decision. That's just real life. All right, our next storyteller is a good friend of this show. If you've been coming to Let's Just Say over the years, you've definitely seen him perform here before. He's a great storyteller, always has something good to share. Please welcome Paul Scozzare.
All right, that's a hell of an introduction. Thank you, sir. So I don't usually use the cheat of the notepad, but I was so proud of my opening line. There was a good. I like traveling now, but there was like a good chunk of years where I didn't, and this kind of encompasses how it started and how it ended. And so I thought up a line. I was like, I go for a few years there. It was less like Wanderlust and more like Wanderload. If I didn't know how expensive this mic was, I'd drop it. So there was a few years where my extended family would have like an annual family trip. And I was usually doing service industry jobs, so a combination of money and like weekends were a thing, so like the idea of just like taking off for a minute like that wasn't gonna happen. And plus like the stories that they came back with were always like fun but horrifying, where it was like, oh yeah, we were driving through the mountains, got stuck in some mud, there was no phone signal, we were just like stuck there. And like this was like the highlight of the trip that I would hear, and I was like, I'm good, just like chilling in the dish tank at work. So we have a family reunion, and it's like 2015, and it's one of those reunions where it's like, it's kind of like when you see that like Bruce Springsteen is touring and the word farewell isn't in the tour, but like you start looking at ages and you're like, I mean, if we're gonna do it. So we all of us, like out of state people, like the ones we don't usually see, we all descend on my grandparents' house. Because they have a place up north with their permission. Like we didn't just like randomly like flash mob. But so we go up there, and it's such a wide variety of family that like you do like the Game of Thrones style introduction where it's like I have Paul, son of Michael. But like my my family is kind of stereotypically Italian, so it's like, I am Sal, son of Sal, or I'm son of Sal. But, so, the cousins all get along great. There's no issues or whatever. And so the next day, we're going to go like on a family raft, or a river thing. And so we're going to do kayaks, and I was like, well, I've never been. But like, it seems like sitting is a thing I can do. Like, I can sit and move my arms. Like, that's most of my dance moves at weddings. And so everybody's paired up. People who got kids are with the kids. People with significant others or with significant others. And it's me and my Uncle Johnny is the other one who doesn't have. I don't know where whoever would be stuck with him was, but it was me for this one. So, but there's like going to get paired up with him, and I, for some reason, had the idea that if your name ends in Y after a certain age, you kind of have to play up to that with your personality. Like, you kind of have to just be like a brighter individual. Like, he's like, Uncle John will fuck your shit up. Sorry, language. But like, Johnny, it's fun, right? So like, we get into the kayak, and we're both a little uneasy getting in, which should have been a warning sign, but wasn't. But like, just because as a family, we can't really stand all that straight on like flat surfaces. The idea that I made it up on the stage without a trip is in and of itself. So right away, the rest of my family members, the ones who know what the hell they're doing, they take off. And so we get, we're going for about 2 or 3 minutes, and we start to wobble, and it's not like the like, oh, we're gonna fall over so fast and then laugh about it later. It's more like a like, oh shit, like. But like, so we fall over, laughs are had, aren't we just the worst? So then we managed to catch up with the rest of the family who could stop, and so we get up to them, and because we don't know how to stop, we fall in again. And this time, he's not laughing as much. I'm still like, oh, this is great, because I'm almost his age now as he was then, and I can understand why it was less funny for him. But so we fall again, and like, so there's 2 kinds of mad that Italian people get. It's quiet seething and like rage. He chose quiet seething, which I didn't realize was like I'm in trouble. So I'm still like jabbering along, and I don't realize he can stop talking to me. And so we get to the end, and I was telling one of the family members who wasn't there a little bit further down the river that like how we had fallen in, and I got so into the story that I ended up having a tip over again. So by this point, he's livid. He does not talk to me for the rest of the like family reunion. Like there are like deservedly so. But like this story makes its rounds to family members, friends of family members, like people who I haven't met before, but like know my family members will meet me and they're like, oh right, like the kayak guy. Yeah. So like, but then, so a few years go by, I go back to my not enjoyment of traveling, and we have a return kayaking trip. And so I plan for it. I'm on the Clinton River. I'm ready to show these people. So like, I end up, we go. Every time there's a turn, everybody's looking back, seeing if I'm gonna be the one, like just like, oh my god. I'm making the turns, just like you guys, because I wasn't the problem last time. So we're going, and we're just at the end. And while I learned how to navigate and go fast, I didn't learn how to stop. I had the ugliest meltdown in front of these, like the people who were behind us, like they had been around us like the whole trip. I handled it about as well as you would expect. So we're leaving, we're on the way out, traffic is stuck, and I'm just like, I'm not, you know what, like, maybe I just don't know how to vacation. Like, maybe this isn't my thing. Like, I don't have it in me. And so, whatever it is, my uncle gets out of the truck, or the truck they're driving, goes up to scream at the people who are like blocking traffic. And we're car lengths back, and I can hear him, you dumb motherfucker, blah, 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 the other end of the Italian rage spectrum. And I looked at that, and I was like, oh, I can vacation better than that. And that's how I got over my Wanderlust.
I have been canoeing, and it's a relationship test. I got in a swan boat with my wife. In Houston, Texas, in June. We're still married, so I know I love her. Yeah. So I got you on the water, the aquatic sports, and woo, man, there's a lot of rage to keep going. Okay, sorry. I digress. Our next storyteller is making their, let's just say, debut. However, they are not a stranger to the Gold Comedy stage. They are an improviser. They perform with Your Weird Cousins, the troupe. A member of which is also the show's producer, Oscar Walker. Recently, I think, cast on the Ann Arbor Civic Improv Farm. Yeah, the home tenant, baby, in Ann Arbor. So yeah, you can see her there. So give it up for L. Marcus.
That you said Houston, I'm about to tell a story about Austin. All right. So by the end of 2020, I had moved into my sanctuary. And by sanctuary, I mean a small basement apartment on the outskirts of Ann Arbor. I had just recently separated from an ex, and I was alone for the first time in my adult life. It also happened to be in the midst of COVID, which led me to needing some coping mechanisms. And I picked up some really healthy coping mechanisms, like going to therapy and mindfulness and meditation and finding my inner self. And then some not so healthy coping mechanisms, namely 2 a.m. Amazon Prime purchases. You know the feeling. When that box was delivered the next day, I would get that hit of serotonin that I was so desperately craving. But as the months went by, Amazon Prime really wasn't cutting it for me anymore. And so I needed something stronger. So I turned to no other than Airbnb. I'm not proud of it, but and like some of my finest life decisions, it was around 2 a.m. that I purchased a 1-month-long stay in Austin, Texas for later that fall. As the days went by, I kind of put Austin out of my mind, didn't really think about it, ended up doing my day-to-day life. But come that summer, I started thinking, what the hell did I do? Purchasing a 1-month-long stay in Austin, Texas, when my entire life was here in Michigan. And I admittedly tried to cancel that trip. However, it was non-refundable. So there was certainty that I was going to be going to Austin, Texas. And it really couldn't have been worse timing, because also that summer I had met my game changer. And by game changer, I mean somebody who comes into your life unexpectedly and changes your life's trajectory. And so I started really thinking about Austin and thinking about how crazy I was. And you know, I couldn't think of anything other than to just truly lean in to that crazy. And so I asked this, my game changer, if she would accompany me to 2 weeks out of the month-long stay. And she must be crazy too, because she said yes. So that fall, we are off to Austin, Texas, and we know we are about to embark on this grand adventure. Not only because we hadn't been to Austin before, but because we were still kind of in our early stages of dating. But over those next 2 weeks, we started to realize that our energy together was something really special. We did all sorts of things. We went hiking, we did open mic poetry nights, we stayed in a tree fort one night. We ended up going on excruciatingly long bike rides in 90-degree weather. And we even celebrated Halloween. The night that we celebrated Halloween, our night ended with us outside of a bar surrounded by individuals dressed as, and I kid you not, giant inflatable titties. Cheering and celebrating that love is love. And if that's not magic, I don't know what else is. By the time my game changer had to leave Austin, I started to view her as maybe not just my game changer, but as potentially my forever person. Aww. And over those next 2 weeks that I was alone, I started to think, how can I spend the remainder of my time and make it something really meaningful? And so I made a promise to myself that I would embrace those healthy coping mechanisms that I had started to learn that year previous. And so I did a ton of journaling, and I went on meditative walks through the botanical gardens, and I even did some things that I wasn't really accustomed to, like taking an aerial acrobatics course, and I even took a pole dancing class. And for anybody that knows me, they know I'm not flexible, so that was certainly a stretch outside the bounds. I went there, yep. But I upheld my promise, and I proved to myself that I am strong, I'm capable, and I am worthy. And by the end of my trip in Austin, I really started recognizing that this wasn't a trip where I reinvented myself. No, it was an adventure where I reclaimed the me that had always been. And for that, I am forever grateful for Airbnb's non-refundable travel policy.
That's all I gotta say. Before we get to our last storyteller, I know, but before we get to that, got some shop things here. Go Comedy has great shows every Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, and Thursday night. We have a lot of improv shows, like you see at what's that? Let's True Carry show. Who's Live? It's called the All-Star Showdown. Those are every Friday and Saturday night. They're very, very fun. We also have a Pandemonium show, which is kind of a unique go thing. It goes tomorrow night, and I'll be in it, so come see me. Yeah! And I promise I'll do my best to be funny, but it's all made up, so I don't know if I will be. Let's see. We got an Adam Star after this, and finally, if you've been to Go a lot, you've seen a lot of different improv. If you've seen music improv, you've seen our next speaker, our next storyteller. But what you don't know, besides that he's musically talented, is that Jeremy St. Martin's birthday is next week. Along with co-host and producer of the show, Nanny Walker.
Birthday twin!
So I'd like everybody to say on the count of 3, happy birthday, Jeremy and Nanny. Can we do that for me? Can we do that? Yeah. Are we here now? Can you feel it? All right, 1, 2, 3. Happy birthday, Jeremy and Nanny! Welcome, Jeremy St. Martin!
Thank you so much. I appreciate it. So, happy to be closing out the show. I want to talk about my Wanderlust, which deals with a warm and windy night in 2005 when I took a walk, and it was the first time I had ever done mushrooms. So, I was initially a little freaked out because I wasn't sure how I was going to react. And so I called my friend Eileen. Eileen is very, very versed in psychedelic drug culture. She said, I will join you, I will be with you, and I will make sure that you are not going to have a bad trip. And so first thing she did, she came over around 9:45, 10 o'clock. We had them, she said, put them in a peanut butter sandwich. They are going to be utterly nasty, and she was correct. So I ate them, she ate hers. And we're waiting a little bit. And about 10:15, maybe 10:30, we decided to go outside and take a walk. Now I live in Wyandotte, and I live on 17th at the time with my folks. Around the block is Pulaski Park. And we decided that we were going to walk through the park. Now the park closes at 10. And it is a good thing that there was not a human being around to see us. And by human being, I mean the law. Because this would be a completely different story. When it started to kick in, I looked like I was participating in a Michael Chekhov exercise. Moving and feeling the universe. And it was astounding. It was just such a small thing, but everything felt wonderful. So we go from one end of the park to the next at 12th Street. I walk outside. I am a gamer. I play Final Fantasy pretty religiously, and I had just got done with my second playthrough of Final Fantasy VIII, which is a little bit more space, technical themed, whatever. The way the lights were hitting, it was just street lights, but they were gold and purple, and I was in Final Fantasy. I start walking south, I get to the corner and I look down, and what do I see? A feather. Now, everything's a sign. And so I pick that feather up. I turn west onto Poplar, and I'm walking in the middle of the street like this, with this disease-ridden cedar feather in my hand. Mind you, I don't know where Eileen is at this point. It was 11:30, and I know why it was 11:30. Because the sprinkler systems on Poplar automatically turn on. I was in the tunnel of heaven, walking like I was doing a sobriety test, feeling gentle spray of the lawn sprinklers walking through these tunnel of trees. Now, if you have ever gotten a phone call from me while I have been under the influence of marijuana, you know that I am a chatty and loving bitch. However, when I did mushrooms, I was a chatty, loving bitch who knew everything. I was coming up with concepts. Physics can explain magic. Eileen was just like, yeah, sure. The culmination. We went back to my house. It was a little after midnight. We decided we were going to sit on my deck, but not before I wanted to get something to eat. And I opened the fridge. And inside, it had been sitting for a while, and discovered probably by my father, made by my mother, was this giant bowl of Jell-O. Now, I'm not a fan of Jell-O per se, but the way it looked, there was a carving out of it where it had obviously been explored and scooped and eaten. And then there was this part, mostly, that was crystal clear. I went outside with this bowl, and I ate the entire thing. But not before putting my face in it and spinning it around like it was a fucking kaleidoscope. It was the best night I ever had. Thank you.
doing it. Done. I'm jealous. I've always wanted to stick my face in jello.
Guys, that's all my storytellers we got tonight.
Boo! Sad.
But next month, the third Thursday of every month, September, we have the theme of school. So come back around for that one, it's going to be great. And then in October, one of my favorite months, because it's always scary, it's Mont. Thank you. So we got 2 great shows lined up for you. If you're interested, visit us up on Facebook and visit the Facebook, let's just say Facebook page, or Natalie Walker or myself if you want to be a part of the show. We're also producing storytellers. Until then, please stick around for the Adam and Estar show after this one. Just head out to the lobby, you can get a ticket there, or if you already got one, you still got to clean this room, so head out to the lobby. Storytellers, if we get one quick picture up here real quick before we go. Thank you guys.